This is the Supercar Connection podcast, bringing you behind-the-scenes conversations from across the industry. If you love supercars, you're in the right place. So let's hit it. Today we sit down with Cody Lewis, aka LA Car Spotter, who has built a following online simply by driving around Los Angeles and uploading photos and videos of insane cars. Cody is a true car enthusiast and has some awesome stories, so we hope you enjoy. So you literally just go around on the weekends and take pictures of cars?
I mean, it's more than that. I literally just drive around and cars are around me. Mm-hmm. Like I live 5 minutes east of Beverly Hills, and
yeah, that helps.
Everywhere I go, I generally can or have to drive through Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
So especially before COVID, when it was like back and forth to work every day, I was like, why not slide through Beverly Hills on the way back every day? And you're guaranteed to see something.
Right.
So now that I work from home, it's a little bit more like, all right, let's go for like a spotting run. Let me go for a jog or something and I'll go to Beverly Hills. So like now it's a little bit more intentional rather than just like, oh, holy crap, I'm coming back from the supermarket and there's an F40 next to me. I go out a little bit more intentionally during the week. And then on the weekends, I just kind of I either go to Malibu on Sunday and just kind of see what's driving around now that like a lot of the shows have been quieted down. So I just kind of drive around because people are going up into the canyons with a bunch of buddies. I meet up at a coffee shop and there'll be a whole bunch of stuff outside of the coffee shop and like, people meet up for brunch. And so like there's still these little kind of meetups and whatnot. So there's cars like all over the place and people like to go out. So and then again, then I come back, I take a couple laps around Beverly Hills, grab some lunch.
Always see something.
Yeah, like you're guaranteed.
Mm-hmm. Where did your your journey and I guess what you say, like to the point where when you make the mental decision that you want to go through Beverly Hills, so like your passion for cars, where did that all originate from? Like
where did just like my initial passion for cars,
like the fact that you now want to pass through Beverly Hills, like your whole point that you're building off of what you're building off of?
Where did that in an active search for cars?
Yeah, like literally, like where did that desire come from? Where did the passion begin?
I have an innate desire for cars because it's like in my blood. My whole family has had multiple cars at all times. My uncle's a collector, my father's a collector, my other uncle will collect, will just get cars. It's like most of them are pieces of crap hand-me-downs, but there's always way more than there needs to be in the driveway. So like we all just love cars and like tinkering and stuff like that. So I grew up with a few family members that were just super into cars. Me and my brother, I grew up with an older brother, so it was just me and him going to every like New York auto show and collecting every pamphlet from every booth and whatever. We were stoked off the Toyota Matrix. Like we were just getting anything and everything from every counter. So like
stoked off the Toyota Matrix.
Bro, when the Toyota Matrix came out for the first time, I was like trying to get my mom to get it so bad. She was like, oh, I'm looking at this Town and Country, this. And I'm like, no, get the Toyota Matrix. Like how sick it is. Did you see the commercial for the Toyota Eclipse or the Mitsubishi Eclipse? I'm like, this shit is crazy. But yeah, like,
I think you're alone on that one.
Yeah, that might be. At
the time, the Matrix was hot shit, and then they had like an XRS or something like that, which had like a 2JZ in it, and it was like super shady, fast Matrix.
Like you didn't even fucking know it's a sleeper car.
Yeah, like those are super sleepers. But either way, I was just like stoked on anything and everything. Yeah, I have like a huge love. Like my uncle, it was very much like an Americana collector. So not really Ferraris and Lambos and stuff. Like he had old Mustangs and 50s cars and old 60s Impala and, just like F100, like just like cool American cars. He had an 8 Series, a bunch of like, I don't know, just a whole bunch of stuff. Is always cycling. And so like my true love is American cars. Like I'm all about old school muscle. I'm all about 50s big bubbly stuff with, the 50s are like my favorite.
Yeah.
And then like 20s and 30s, like hot rods and rat rods.
Fuck, so you go hot rodding all the way back to those. That's original.
I mean, like
days.
that's the stuff I really love. And with Instagram, obviously, there's a certain level of cars that get attention. So I've
100%.
almost been pigeonholed into the supercar, hypercar life, which it's not a bad thing, you know. But that's the stuff that I see most often, and that other stuff is kind of more rare. I mean, we do get a lot of it out here, but I mean, it's almost more rare to see like a really nice Tri-5 Bel Air driving around
Fuck yeah,
than it
for
is
sure.
to see
Yeah.
a McLaren 720S out here.
Oh, yeah,
So like,
this is common as hell. It's dog shit.
yeah, I mean, like absolute crap garbage, especially in such a standard papaya spark like that. Like, get out of here, man.
The sparkle in the sun.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, that's the thing. Like, I have a love for like all automobiles and for all different kinds of reasons and stuff. So
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad, you can appreciate everything.
yeah, no, that's the short answer to that question.
I appreciate it all, but I only care about certain things. I think that's what I would say.
I don't even know. I can't even stand on the same hill as that. There's some shit that I don't even appreciate. Like literally, like the Turbo S review we did. Like people, I'll die on this hill, and everybody hates me for it. But like I literally do not give a fuck about that car.
About that car or Porsches in general?
Porsches in general.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's like a built-in bias that you have against that car that, regardless of how good it is, you already have a negative bias.
Can I be honest with
It's
you?
a great car. He'll say it's a great car.
I'm gonna tell you something afterwards that's similar, but go ahead.
It's literally it kind of goes back to what you were saying. Like my old man instilled that bias into me because he was alive and when he was really in his car era was back when Porsche was fucking dog shit.
Yeah,
like
and it was all douchebags that drove them. It was all like stockbrokers.
Exactly. So like he came from that era. So when I grow up, he's instilling that into me. He passed it on to me. I got to a point, I was like 14, 15. We're talking about cars and I'm like, no, fuck Porsche. And they're like, why? And I'm like, I don't know. Fuck it. And then I finally got to a point I started learning based my own opinion. Yeah. And it just so happens that my own opinion correlates directly with what I was already instilled when I was a young child.
And like, it's true. A lot of like the older Porsches, if you're comparing it to like either modern cars or other more, I guess, aggressive cars of the time.
Yeah.
Like those cars are great, but they're like really underpowered. There's a lot of interesting mechanics that goes along with the older Porsches and stuff, but it's kind of like the charm and the rawness of it and all that. And like, you're either into it or you're not. And
rawness is not something that you'd say about the new ones.
No, not at all.
Rawness?
No, not at all.
Well,
Especially
no, I
the
mean,
turbo.
that kind of gone out the door a few years back.
No.
But
don't get me wrong though. Like I'm gonna say this, and I say this with a grain of salt. The only reason why the old ones are such dog shit, and we can even have this conversation, is because they've made leaps and bounds, and now the cars are ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the 88s. Like if you look at those, like I was talking to you about an 88 Targa. I don't know if that car has like 250 horsepower. The idea is that it's light. The idea is that it's like you connected very closely to the transmission and all that. But yeah, they're not like super fast or anything. And especially when you compare it to what's going on now, like these things are rocket ships and race built for like
UFOs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a different level.
And that's like you have to appreciate how far the company has come and how like of a mainstay that they are of just like that's like the gold standard of like
agreed.
You're either in supercar territory above that and you're driving a Lambo or a Ferrari, or you're below that and you're in like a Mercedes or an Audi or something like that. Like Porsche is the gold standard, and like it's now they're like really true driving experiences, and everything else is either gauged on that basically.
Yeah. It's kind of funny too, because like to touch more on that, it's like you take like you're in American cars too, so like take like an 88, like you said, 88 Targa, and then take like an 88 Corvette.
Yeah,
take those two direct side by side, but then now take Turbo S versus a Z06, and like Porsche's made leaps and bounds, and Corvette has, but at the same time Porsche's just caught so much more traction, so much more ground in the same time, where Corvette back in the day was already pumping and kicking, and they're just still pumpkin and kicking.
There was also a lot about those muscle cars where they were also severely underpowered and just like insanely loud for no reason. So like they make so much noise, but they don't go anywhere.
Yeah,
worse than rice
so
burgers.
they're just there to like look good and sound good. And I think that like that was a really important part of a lot of these cars. I mean, at the time those were performance numbers, but looking back, they're kind of silly.
Yeah, very much so. It's
You know?
it's fucking crazy what numbers are nowadays.
But since you mentioned
is
American
crazy.
cars, like I had recently had an experience with Ford for the new Dark Horse. So they had asked me to come and do some stunt driving for them, and it was leaps and bounds from every generation of Mustang I've ever been. I've never once considered a Mustang as a car that I would want, other than like some 60s Mustangs,
old school.
So like Mach 1s, Bosses, like that kind of stuff. Like love that stuff. But the normal like crowd killer Mustangs are kind of like not my thing. And but I got out of the Alpha, the Giulia Quadrifoglio, which absolutely fantastic car, an insane like scalpel rocket ship. I can't say enough about how amazing that car drives.
Heard great things about that.
But the interior still feels like it's the 2017 car, and the performance kind of makes you forget about all that. But when I had gone there and I had done this Ford experience and I'd gotten to this new Mustang, and there are probably a couple people that are going to hate me for this, but like the screens actually made it more of like the type of car I want to be in. It made it more modern. It made it feel like there was technology built into the car, and it made it feel more, what would you say? Like just kind of like they paid more attention to making it really high performance. And I felt that in the car versus like other Mustangs where I just kind of felt like it was an American muscle car made of plastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that sounds like a good improvement.
Yeah, like I got into it and I got out and I was like, dude, this is probably the first time I would ever consider buying a Mustang. I'm like, this thing fucking rocks.
The Dark Horses look pretty good too.
They look fantastic.
You like the way they look?
The Dark Horse.
All right, so you hit lock, unlock, lock, and the thing turns on and revs for you, so you don't have to be in the car. It's just like if somebody's leaning against your car or you want to show off to your boys, you just click a button and it goes vroom, 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 vroom. It's pretty.
That's fucking sick, man.
We're adding
We're adding the giggles, You're just sitting there. You're like, yeah.
we're adding in auto revs. That's crazy.
That's fucking sick.
Yeah, it's dope.
I did not know that Ford had done that.
Yeah,
Well,
it'll be on the Huracan replacement for
It's
sure.
dumb.
fucking sure.
It's dumb, kitschy shit that makes it fun.
Yeah,
You
for
know?
Speaking of Huracan replacement, you see the thing that came out with the Huracan replacement thing?
The name?
Yeah, the name. They I guess somebody caught like an intellectual property trademark from Lamborghini. I forgot what the fuck was the name, like
I don't remember.
Teleminio, or it was something like that.
Yeah, it was. I just remember reading it and was like,
Lamborghini
how do I pronounce
Telemundo?
this?
Some shit like that. Yeah, literally,
It's like
some shit that.
Telemarino or
Telenovela, but
yeah,
it's
very.
fucking-
Yeah.
It literally, I forgot. It translates into like Untamed or like or something like
Well,
that.
it's got to be the name of a bull.
Some
No,
like,
that's
they're
just the
all-
V12s.
No, oh, is that right?
The
I thought
V12s
that
are
all the Lambos were named after a bull, but I guess
When it comes to Lamborghini,
I guess I'm wrong.
There's no person you want to argue more
I think.
with than this kid.
I'm not going to tell you you're
Whoa,
wrong.
He just said I think though.
Well, I always.
Well, 'cause
I,
we're all
you're
wrong. So
backstepping.
we got everything. Got to preface everything with the
I
resident
always,
expert is backstepping.
reserve the right to be incorrect,
They
but I'm
look
pretty
that
sure
down.
only the V12s are required to be named.
I'm not always
after a
right,
bull.
but I'm never wrong.
Yeah, basically.
Exactly.
80% of the time, I'm right every time. But yeah, because I don't think the Gallardo, is a bull name.
No,
That's fair.
no, it's not. I think he's right. I was both boosting his confidence, but then he said the I think part. But I think he's right. The V12s are the only ones that need bull names.
I guess we're gonna have to ask the audience in the comments.
Yeah. Comment down below, please. Let everyone know.
You know when you
what the
get
right
stuff
answer is.
wrong, that's when people really comment.
Yeah, 100%.
Like
100 fucking
people
percent.
love to correct you. So like,
Yeah. Sorry
Just
for
keep-
being
just
that guy
keep
that
saying
corrected
wrong
you.
stuff.
My bad.
Yeah. Sorry
no,
for
I
making
mean
your
that's how
self-esteem feel
I
like dog
got
shit.
my start. Is I just like pretended like I didn't know anything, and people just got on and start correcting me.
Yeah, that's always a good. Just be intentionally wrong. That's great social media advice. Be intentionally wrong. It's like when we said Gallardo, and half the comments were just people correcting us on how to pronounce Gallardo.
Literally, like I remember not even thinking twice about it, and then reading the comments, they're like, "Wow, kid can't even pronounce fucking Gallardo properly," and I'm like,
That's
fuck,
one of
okay.
those
Great,
things.
that's what
though,
sends
you
us-
know?
sends
It's
us.
like croissant. It's like, how are you gonna pronounce it? Like
Bro,
like the American way,
I'm
or are
a
you gonna
grown-ass
pronounce it like a
man.
French person?
Yeah, I'm a grown ass man. There's no way in hell I'm pronouncing it the other way. It's croissant or go fuck yourself.
Do you think they
So
say guacamole in Mexico?
Yeah, no. You think that I am going to eat a hot dog? Like that doesn't happen. No, hot dog. You know.
Exactly.
So it's a croissant.
Oh my god.
Louis Vuitton.
Yeah.
Yes, very much
Yeah,
so.
no one does that. But all right. So with your spotting, what do you think is the craziest spot, the craziest car you saw just out on the like in the wild, driving down the street, not at like a car meet, but on the road where you're just like, wait, what? Am I really seeing this on the road right now?
I have a immediate answer to that, and it's the McLaren Sabre.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of really cool cars on the road. Like, don't get me wrong. I've seen more expensive cars. I've seen one of ones, obviously, so they're more rare. But when I saw the McLaren Sabre, it was the white and red, or like white and orangey, like Marlboro livery that they have. But it was the day before they even announced it to the public. So when I saw it, I was like, what the fuck is that? And I was like, I sped up to it and I'm like, what is this fucking thing? I'm like, what am I even looking at? And then the guy in the car was like, hey, you can post this tomorrow, but McLaren hasn't even officially announced this to the public. So like the guys who had ordered it, they're the only guys that know. And we haven't even told anybody about this. So they were like, wait until tomorrow we do the press release. And then
like,
they came
it's
out
on
with
the
press
road,
release.
so how- you
and
can't stop.
well, that's the thing. It like went from like, it was going from like one service center to another service center, and or it was going from the photo booth to the service center so that they can do the press shoot.
Yeah.
And then it should have trucked it back instead. But then,
Right.
but either way, I caught that and it like caught fire online, and everybody was like, holy crap, what is that? How'd you see it already? That thing didn't even come out yet. How is it like?
Wait,
what?
so did you wait till the next day or did you post it that
No,
day?
I waited till the next. Listen,
Okay.
I don't like to play games with a lot of these brands, and especially with dealerships that I work with very closely, and I've worked really hard to develop relationships and friendships and try to keep that stuff healthy. You know, like if I'm the kind of guy that's going to go to a dealership and take a picture of a car in the parking lot, I'm not going to run up on there with my big camera out while there's clients there looking at a car presented something. Like, I'm going to wait. I'm not going to run up like into the parking garage where I know they keep all their hypercars and start posting all of this like really private stuff, because I just don't want to ruin my relationship with these companies and these dealerships that, you know, I've worked so hard to create.
Yeah.
So, you know, even if I do see some things, like I play ball, you know?
Yeah.
I would rather McLaren like me than to be like,
Very
yo,
much
what
so,
the
yeah.
hell?
That's fair.
All for
like
some
anyone.
fucking clicks and views.
McLaren,
exactly.
Yeah, I feel
McLaren
you.
Beverly Hills has some crazy inventory right now.
It fucking
So
super does.
it's really awesome because like O'Gara has such an incredible relationship with a lot of big companies like Lanzante. So like they're basically have this like semi-exclusive relationship or this like special relationship, and that's why they're always pumping out those P1 GTs and P1 GTRs and like all that stuff, the road legal Sennas and the turbo, the tag turbo, like all that stuff. O'Gara has a super close relationship with Lanzante, so that's often why they have like all of that crazy stuff. And Paris Mullins, he's like, I don't really know what he told me his title would be officially, but it's essentially like almost like a design consultant. So like somebody's like, I want one of those P1 GTs or whatever, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna make it the coolest shit out. So he's going to be like, all right, we're going to do matte silver with the black, and we're going to do this interior, and we're going to do these wheels that way. Or like one of the first ones that they did was just a hit, because at the time everybody was doing green over tan. So they did that green one with the charcoal wheels, those Can-Am wheels, and it had that suede, that tan suede interior. And that thing slapped. And it was because Paris had like curated the design. There was a couple Elvas that were based off of these F1 driver liveries, these like Lando liveries. And like, yeah, Paris just kills these specs. So then O'Gara just kind of like, well, O'Gara has it right, you know, because what they'll do is sometimes they build it for an end user, and then sometimes they have it made because they know somebody will buy it.
Right.
So they know that if they have the ability to get something made, you know, like the owner of O'Gara, he might just have a car made for himself so that it's really special, and then that company is selling a really special car. So yeah, it's like it's marketing, but also it's the relationship that they have, and the customers that they have are pretty incredible. So
Yeah. So we were at McLaren Beverly Hills picking up this. What was that now? 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
you've been rocking this for 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And
Slaps.
Thank you,
it
brother.
does slap.
They really work.
Thank you, brother.
We're pulling back into the dealership, and I guess they were moving the silver and black HDK with the orange seats. And so we're pulling back in, and the HDK is just like pulling into the driveway of the dealership. And I was like, what? I was not expecting to see a
Dude,
P1 HDK today.
I live not a mile down the road from that dealership.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like daily I stop by, I say what's up to all the sales guys, I say what's up to all the porters, like I see what kind of stuff they're moving in and out, because you really never know what's in that back wash bay.
Never.
And like I literally just pull into that back wash bay and I'm like, yo, what do you guys got? You know?
Like, stop hiding the shit from me. Like, let me see what we got back here.
I mean, bro, you build a lot of relationships, and you can't forget about all levels of the company.
Yes.
Everybody is important. Everybody plays a part.
Everybody matters.
Creating relationships with these dealerships, it's not just about like the owner of the dealership or the guys that sell the cars. It's like,
Yeah.
some of the best people to know are the people that are moving stuff around. I mean, that goes for spotting, but that goes for just like the relationship when you enter in the property of a dealership and the relationship that you have with these people. And I say what's up, and they say what's up back, and then these guys know that I'm a friendly guy. So
Yeah. That was the first
works.
Sabre I saw too. I hadn't seen a Sabre in person until
the white and like reddish one,
one
or
with
the one
like
they have there that's with the chroma flare fenders.
yeah,
and stuff.
that one,
Yeah,
the
size of
chroma
car.
flare. It's a pretty crazy car.
Yeah, I mean, McLaren does that like chroma flare, like
They're
that,
very good at that.
I love it.
whatever
personally.
they call it. But
Yeah.
that they do that so well.
What do you think about the Speedtail?
I really like the Speedtail.
Yeah.
I think that like right now the market's tanking on the Speedtail. The last one sold for what, like under $1 million or something,
I
went
think
for
it just broke,
$835.
just broke under $1 million.
Oh,
or
just
something
broke
like
$1
that.
million?
I think so.
It was
No,
it
broke
was under
$1 million.
it was under it was the auction, and did it actually sell, or did it not hit reserve? Because I think it was under sticker the
I
final bid.
can't remember, but I remember
It's crazy.
seeing like an $800,000 number, and it was like, it was just like, I couldn't believe it. But the truth is that's not the kind of car that you could drive just anywhere.
Fuck.
So like,
Fuck.
just like the Elva, you're going to be driving it very seldom,
What
but
is
I
it
think it's a
for?
legend.
What is the Elva for?
No, what is? I think I don't think it was very clear what the Speedtail was for.
Top speed.
Yeah,
That's it?
That's it.
Yeah, it was built for
meant to-
top speed and to be somewhat of an homage to the F1.
I know
center
that
drive
I
and
know
stuff.
Yeah, the
Center
center
seating,
drive
it
was
was
about the
built for-
F1, but
It
Those
was
two
built
things.
for top speed.
They made. I mean, the way
What
that
is the
they
top
engineered
speed?
it's something ridiculous, like mid 200s. But they literally like they designed the car, especially the way that the center drive is, especially when you get like to the aerodynamics, like in the rear. They designed it specifically for fucking high.
I know there's
high mile per
Yeah,
hour.
like VMAX type stuff, and
Yeah.
that's why it has like mirrors and cameras instead of mirrors and
Yes.
stuff like that. And that's why it has very little ventilation in the front end of it, so it's just like very super low drag coefficient and whatnot. But I mean, yeah, the whole thing with like the extended tail and whatnot, that's all about top speed. But I don't think that they were like, we want to be the fastest. They weren't like, we want to beat Bugatti. Like a lot of these other companies are like, we're trying to be 300 plus. So they were just like, we want this to be super high top speed.
fastest
It's not meant for track, maneuvering. But to be honest, I think it was more like, we want this to land in some people's collections and be a really special car and be like a legend down the road.
I think it's going to be.
You think
I think
so?
it is.
I don't
think
think
so.
I don't think it's going to
I
be.
think that it.
Really?
I
Yeah, I'll
think
take
that
the opposite
people were
stance for
super
sure.
excited about it. I think the market is tanking because people are starting to be confused about the use and like probably the difficulty of use already. But I just think I think it takes a few years. Listen to the Carrera GT. I mean, like the Carrera GT that didn't sell. And then they were marking them down. And now they're going for millions of dollars. So like you really never know what's going to happen with the car.
That's literally
Yeah.
the fucking story to every single car. If
the
it wasn't
918 wasn't the same story with the 918. The Carrera GT they pulled they like lowered it $40K. They were giving discounts, and then they like pulled them or something. I'm sure people in the comments are gonna rip me apart and tell me I'm totally wrong.
If an auto manufacturer makes a car that doesn't fucking sell during its time, it is a guarantee classic in the fucking
LFA.
I was gonna say the LFA,
everything.
0506 Ford GT,
especially when they're out of character.
Yes,
because like Porsche at the time, any super high performance car that they made was a race car.
Literally.
So
no street
when
use.
they were doing this and they were like, okay, we're like, other than like the 959, which was their super high performance, but even still it was like somebody hit a home run.
I didn't know there was going to be a basebal game going on today, which
hopefully there's enough noise canceling.
Yeah, you won't hear it at all.
Hit
It's
any
just
hard
funny.
P's.
It's just, I will say, Seven Nation Army earlier felt like a 10-minute song, but
It was that the intro song?
No, it was they were playing over there, and then I was like, is this song ever going to end? There's a baseball game going on over there. That's
it
why
was just
we're
like
talking
on
about
repeat at the beginning. It was like boom,
Yeah.
boom, 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 boom.
Bum. Can I tell you why I think the Speedtail is not going to be a classic?
Let's hear it.
Go
You want to hear my argument?
Let's hear it.
So one, I think when the development of the car was like starting to leak, it was like, this is the F1 successor. They're finally going to make a 3-seat car again with the center or whatever, and people were all excited, and it was like super quiet. No one knew exactly what it was going to be. And then it rolled out, and it's like this weird kind of top speed car, but it's not like the fastest top speed car like we were talking about. Like they weren't actually going for any record. They're just like, hey, we're making. Do we know how many there are? Do you know how many there are?
Not
No,
on
that was what I was
hand.
asking.
It's a low number. I
If
think
I was wearing my Meta glasses, I'd be able to ask.
it might have been the same. It might have been the same amount that they made of the F1, like 78 or something like that.
It's a low number.
Yeah, but so you got all these guys to get this car. It's super expensive. It's got like one purpose, which is just top speed, but it's not the best at that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the purpose of the car was just kind of lost. Like the F1 was such a special car because of it held records for like a decade. Like
I think there's a lot to be said about the misconception of it being a predecessor to the F1.
right.
I think that this was the initial impression that people got once they saw the center seating position, and they were like, Psh, F1, duh.
Exactly.
But
There's no other way.
but there's no other like the car doesn't really have any other like notes that relate to the F1.
That's what I was gonna say. I was like, I don't know if they did they officially say that the Speedtail was meant to replace?
I don't
or
think it
come
was.
after? I
It
don't
was
think
ever
they-
really titled or
No,
like
not
ever
necess-
really
it's-
touted
that's
as
just what
a
people.
predecessor.
That's what people ran with.
But yeah, it was
fuck
the
people.
center seating.
So-
Well, that's like when you
People
roll
don't
out
know
a car,
shit. If you haven't realized,
They
most
don't.
people don't know shit.
But unless you like
So-
properly, that's the most of the time the problem is marketing these cars. If you don't like market it right, then people are going to run with the wrong thing. I guess that's where you could argue down the road, the correct perception ends up getting found, and then they go up in price or whatever.
And it's also like they don't care about marketing to you.
no,
They don't care what you think about it. They care that they've got 15 guys that are willing to spend $3 million on the Sabres, and they don't care who thinks they're ugly and who knows about them because
it.
they're already sold, and these guys are going to buy them.
That's it.
the
So,
problem
like-
is if they gain a reputation of making these super special $3 million cars, and then the reputation becomes these cars are going to be worth $1 million less in a couple years, people
That's
are going to
fair.
stop buying them.
I mean, depreciation and McLaren go together almost as well as Aston Martin and depreciation.
Bro,
I mean,
anything
How about
fucking
Maserati
British,
and depreciation?
no, I mean like
anything British depreciates. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say
a
like Bentley,
motherfucker.
Rolls Royce,
Rolls-Royce,
like the
Range
second
Rover,
you drive
Jaguar.
Bro, every single car, as soon as you drive it up, I'm telling you, that's why honestly, like these cars, anything British, sniping it two to four, I think 3 to 4, maybe 4 years, I may put 2 to 3 years after it
Yeah,
came out. That little low depreciation curve, that's when you get the best bang for your buck in those fucking
Range
British
Rovers
cars.
at
100%.
50K, you got to trash it.
You have to.
The Range Rovers won't make it past 50K.
The motor will blow on you, or something will happen, and you will have to replace the motor, or something crazy will happen.
Yeah.
Every fucking time on those cars.
Like that, absolutely.
But like even this thing, this is a 2020. This is exactly what I explained. I did the exact same thing with this car. This is a fucking $340,000 car when it came out, crazy horsepower.
Yeah.
And now in 2020, I got it for $240.
Yeah.
So think about that exact concept. Somebody ate $100,000 and worth of depreciation, and then I get a little piss missile at like that's it.
This
And
is
you'll
a
eat
whole
another
lot
60.
of car.
Yeah, and I'll eat another 60, but fuck
This is
it.
a whole lot of car for 240. Like
It's
there's
the most
so
car
much
for
and it's an
240.
What's better at
absolute
240?
scalpel. What's better at 240? Oh man.
Let me restate that question. Your budget's $240,000. Beat the 720S with $240,000.
Is this the only car in my garage? Am I on a track? Like, beat it? How? Because
Okay.
I'll slap a
be a-
GT3 in your face, and you're going to start crying because you hate Porsche so much.
And what you're saying, the G3 will beat this?
I say the GT3 will hold up to this, and it's way more practical. So if we're talking about like what I'm gonna choose because like I only have one option of car,
Okay, I get what you're saying. Okay,
then
let's do.
I'll go with GT3, but I'm not just going about like what's like my daily, what can I daily it and bring it on the track.
That's fair.
Like they're great cars. I mean, they're missiles, they're scalpels, like every good thing that you want to say about the way that they drive as far as like a sports car, but they're just insanely unreliable.
Yeah.
Faster than the GT3 on a lot of tracks.
And like the build quality is here and there.
That part I agree with you. I should. That's
Is
fair.
it faster than the GT3? Like the numbers are just like this is faster than the GT3, hands down. Like the numbers say is faster.
Yeah.
Nuremberg time?
There's no official time
There
for
isn't.
this. No.
I guess I would say beat this performance for that price.
The problem is, so McLaren, sorry, cut into the question.
Go ahead.
McLaren, there's a P1 time on the Nürburgring, and the rumor is they won't put any other car in the Nürburgring
Because
they
it'll
don't
beat it.
Yeah, they don't the 720 will beat the McLaren or the P1 time, and they don't want that. Like all the P1 customers, they want to keep them happy. They don't want a car that you can pick up for 210 on the used market beating the P1 around, the legendary track. So there's no official time. The only time on the 720 is it's on summer tires, not even track tires.
The official track of every internet troll that owns a GT3 that's been to Germany, that's been to the Nuremberg rack and driven.
Put it on the Nürburgring.
Yeah. I mean, that's like probably the worst way of testing a car, considering how terrible the road is and how difficult of a track it is, and like it's
How
not built.
dependent it is on
It's
conditions.
not built for every type of car, and to boot, it's a public highway where you could drive literally anything on it. So like,
Think about that.
yeah, it's pretty wild.
It's freaking ridiculous. But again,
But yeah, I mean, like, all right, so you do have a good point. I mean, obviously, performance wise, it's not gonna perform as it's not gonna be as fast. But both of them are too fast for anybody to really complain about or to like get to a point if you're not on the track.
that's
yeah.
fair.
But like, if you're gonna talk about $240,000, you really have to think about what you're gonna do with the car, because like a GT4 RS, right? It's like 240K or
Yeah.
less.
A little less.
Probably, a little
Yeah.
less right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like
220.
that might hold its own against this on the track, because it's more track focused
On the track.
on the track.
On the track.
That's what I'm saying. But on the street, if you're driving next to a GT3, you guys are probably, playing cat and mouse back and forth.
Depends on if it's the highway. There's no cat and mouse.
There's no cat
No?
and mouse,
which
no.
I know a lot of people don't care, and they're like, "Oh, highway racers, whatever." On a highway pool.
I mean, we're talking just hypothetically.
hypothetically
You know, like-
on an open highway
we're in
pool.
Mexico. That's
This
not-
thing would absolutely destroy a GT3.
No, not an open highway. Like I'm saying, weaving, playing cat and mouse, like, where you
I'm
have
still
to
walking
slow
it.
down and go up and so. Yeah, you're walking them.
Walking everything, bro. This fucking thing. I'm telling you, this car, and you fucking drove it, dude. Third gear, mid boost. This fucking thing puts you in your seat like no other.
And to be totally fair, it's way more of like a production. Like it's got noises going off in the back of your head. You can hear the engine, and you can hear so much more stuff going on. I mean, in a GT4, it's also the same. It's almost like annoying how loud it is on the inside. But yeah, I mean, like it's definitely more of a production. It's a nicer car. Like that's a really tough question for 240K. I mean, because for 240K, you're looking at something like you could get the GT4 RS, you could get a 675 LT, you know, which
Solid
maybe doesn't
car.
have that same level of performance, but it's definitely like sick car. I mean, like
Even the
that's
600
that's
definitely
a
sick.
legend.
The 600 LT. For
600, I mean,
that car for fucking
the
200 is fucking ridiculous.
You mean the 650S?
No,
the
I mean,
600
the
LT.
600
Yeah,
LT.
yeah, yeah.
That car
Okay,
for
yeah.
that price is fucking ridiculous.
What's that going for right now?
So you can get used ones, 1920s with like relatively good mileage. I would say right at the 200 range, maybe
That's so
195,
much car
210
for the money.
Bro,
It is.
600 horsepower.
Bro, wait like another 6 months and you'll be able to get a McLaren GT for like 100K, 90K.
Bro, those things are just walking down.
They are.
They're walking down, and
I
it's
don't even
crazy
know why
'cause
they facelifted that.
They look. They look.
dumped it.
They look just.
Just
They look
scrap
like
that
a
whole
C8.
fucking
That's the
thing.
problem.
They
No one's gonna
honestly,
want it
like,
because
they
it looks
have
like a C8.
They don't look off-putting, but they're just kind of like this middle ground of like, why would I want that? If it's like supposed to be a GT and I'm like, you know, with the golf clubs and all that shit, what they did, it was like, oh, it's got this room for your golf clubs. It's like anybody that's going to play golf is bringing their Bentley or you know,
Yeah, they're not
like
fucking-
bringing their
yeah.
Range Rover or something. Like they're not trying to drive a McLaren to golf.
It was funny too, because like talking about like that similar, and it's not to change the subject or anything like that, but we got to drive the Ferrari Roma, and it's like that car was meant to be the similar dynamic of like a blend between performance and comfort. And
Because it's supposed to be like a more manly Portofino.
exactly. But when I
The
tell you
DB11, DB12 replacement.
that car is literally dog shit on four wheels, I cannot kid you not. That might be the like I'll
I've only
stand
been
by
in
this.
that car, or I've only driven in that car one time.
I'll tell you right now, I'll die on this rock. That was the worst exotic like supercar I've ever, or if I can even say that it's a supercar, it's the worst thing I've ever driven.
But like, why?
Literally, okay.
Like, tell me more.
First thing about it is when you're inside it, okay, exactly what you said. It's supposed to be a little bit more manly Portofino, or even more like the modern version of a
Gotta be
California.
careful when you say that.
Yeah, I know, right? I know, right? Allegedly, right?
He doesn't care.
No, I don't give a shit. So my whole thing is inside, it's the comfort of the car the way it's supposed to be in terms of a cruiser. It doesn't even have that ability. Like I'll talk, this is the stupidest thing. We made a video about this. The Apple CarPlay in that car, it has two screens. So it has that center dash screen right
And
here.
then it has the passenger screen. Is
No,
that what you're
no,
talking about?
It has the center screen where it
then the
has
dash
literally
screen.
just a fucking map.
Yeah.
Then where your speedometer is, it has that second screen. The Apple CarPlay pops up right there, and it takes away your RPMs, your speedometer, and everything. So I don't get to see the RPMs. I don't get to see how fast I'm going. All I get to see is my route. Then I look down, and I have another map there that's obviously not doing shit.
I mean, to be honest, that's why I hate the R8.
Because it's all right
The
here.
new R8.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
no, because it sits
Or
right
like
in front
the
of you.
Huracan and
Yeah.
like that kind of stuff. It's like your passenger can't control the radio because it's in front of the driver.
That's what I'm saying.
There's
So
no
it's-
screen for your passenger, which is why I'm liking all these like new cars that are coming out with passenger screens and
Yeah.
stuff. I'm like, that's actually kind of dope.
I like that's how it should be.
But yeah, I mean, like it was also a complete departure from all the other Ferrari interiors, and I think that that car was kind of like this experiment of like this new design language, this new interior of like, is this the new livable Ferrari interior? Because otherwise it was like the California Portofino interior, which was really similar to like the FF or GT4 Lusso type of interior, where it was like a big center screen, a much more livable type of GT experience.
Passenger
Because
screen
at the
option.
end of the day, they're all GT cars. I mean, the Roma is still a GT car, but it's a higher performer than the Portofino.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, like, I hate to be that guy, and I'm not trying to be like sexist or anything, but it's the same type of like vibe that I get from Pagodas, like the 280 SL, Mercedes 280 SL, that like back in the day when those cars came out, it was your wife's sports car.
Right.
It was
Like
that
Porsches
kind
are
of thing.
nowadays.
Yeah, so like, I'm way to sneak that in there. That was good. Porsche haters say what? But I mean, yeah. So now it's kind of like it's one of those like we got a Ferrari for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's like so. You know, I have a couple buddies that are like, oh man, like I'm looking at getting a California, and I'm like, just don't.
Yeah.
Just
please,
don't.
just fucking don't.
Just get something else with the V. He's like, bro, it's a Ferrari. I'm like, yeah, but just don't.
Yeah, just please, just save yourself the trouble and the embarrassment.
I think the Roma is like, it's a beautiful car. I think it's got a beautiful interior, despite the fact that they put CarPlay here instead of on this just regular screen where it belongs. Leave me my tack. Put CarPlay over here. But yeah, it's just
Don't complain about user interface when you got this thing behind you. It's just basically black and white boxes on your screen.
I don't even look at that shit.
This isn't made to be comfortable.
This is like you're not supposed to look at the radio.
No, I don't look
you're
at that
supposed to have the radio down and listen to the car.
Yes,
so that
literally.
makes so much sense.
Yes, literally.
Which is kind of why Ferrari also, with a lot of their other, like their performance drivers, those are the cars that just have vents and the middle screen. It's like they don't really have an interior of much.
They don't have
Do you need a Bluetooth and something to change?
They're very race derived, and I think that they're starting to realize, or not starting to realize, but they know that they have to sell more cars and they need to make their cars more livable to attract more audience.
They have to. I think that's why they came out with the Pearl Songway to compete with the Urus, because the Urus was the fucking best marketing car, whatever, best plan that any exotic automotive maker has ever done. They literally were like that, in my opinion. If you want to go back to like not being sexist, that car was built for the housewife. I don't care what anybody says. We can argue that right now if you want.
It's interesting because you started off really positive about it, and then you kind of like backstepped.
I still
not anything to say about housewives or anything, but like you backstepped that. You were like, that is a car for your wife.
No, I meant it in the sense where they really hit like exactly what I think they were trying to deliver on with that car. They did. They made a Lamborghini where not only like someone who's not into cars can buy that car.
Made it livable.
Made it exactly like you said. Made it livable. That they killed that concept of making a car, an exotic, livable with the Urus.
And it like did so incredibly well. I mean, the Huracan was like the highest selling Lamborghini ever. But there's got to be some stats about like how much Uruses that they sold, and like how it just like they just were selling like hotcakes. And like made the company so.
And the
much
margins
money.
got to be crazy because it's all developed off the Q8.
That's literally what it is.
I hear that. Well, that kind of goes for like that whole badge group, whatever.
Sure.
But like, I mean, it's like. I heard Ferrari's got the craziest margins on their cars.
Yeah, probably.
The like all the other groups really are much, much, much less.
Yeah,
as far as margins, like a few. Like
I know it helps that Ferrari they make so much money in licensing and merch and stuff.
Yeah, totally.
That it like just.
And they force people to buy their cars to get other cars, and like so they're making crazy margins off all their cars.
Stupid. You think about it, they're like the biggest. I mean, again, talk all the shit you want, whatever, but like the moniker, you like.
So that's the thing. It's like it's like Rolex, where even if a great watch, amazing watch. Amazing. Well, I'm wearing actually a IWC, but it's a Porsche design IWC. I don't want to bring up more Porsche stuff, but it's like Rolex. It's like, again, like a standard kind of like, even if you don't know shit about cars, you know about Ferrari.
Yep.
So it's like, even if you don't know shit about watches, if you make $200,000 a year, then you're going to go buy a Rolex because that's where your like price bracket is. It's like, are you making enough for the Daytona? Are you like making enough for like other types of watches? The Meteorite Daytona, the Rose Gold. Or we talking that, or are we talking tiers. Like you getting an OP?
Yes.
Did you just get like your first job making over 6 figs, and now you want to get an OP?
Are we getting a stainless blackface or what?
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like it. That's
Let me get the Meteorite dial.
Even if you don't know shit about it, even if you don't know shit about cars. Ferrari is just like the standard name that everybody knows, which
100%.
Brings me back to my friend where he was like, dude, it's still a Ferrari. And I'm like, yeah, it's a Ferrari and it has a V8, but like, it's not the Ferrari you want.
Mm-hmm.
I
like
agree
the
with
Explorer. The Rolex Explorer.
Oh yeah. Well, I was gonna say I actually really like the Explorer too, but
I was like, I like the 4 Explorers.
Yeah,
I was like, not bad.
I was like,
ST's
wait,
kinda hot.
That's a pretty non sequitur right there. Like the Ford Explorer.
The Rolex Explorer.
No, but I mean, if you really want to get into it, the Explorer is going to be one of those watches that's coming up a lot right now because people are moving down millimeters, and the Explorer originally was like a 34, and then they did a 36.
That didn't fucking
people
sell.
Are really going for it. But I mean, neither did the Milgauss.
That's fair.
Milgauss, it started off pretty well. It sat around 4 or 5K for a while. I was like this close to picking one up, and then they stopped making them. They announced last year or the year before, and now they're like 10, 11K. So, I mean, that's what happens with Rolex. They've changed the sub 1 millimeter, and then the other subs go up.
Literally,
so
that's all
much.
that
So,
is. That's partly why I still have this fucking thing, is because they fucking discontinued this fucking, the GMT. This is the only reason why I still have this thing, because again, I don't know when it's going to happen, but I hope I fucking at least goes up maybe a couple G's, and then I'll probably walk into hopefully another offshore or something like that. Make a jump to AP.
Well, that's another thing is like, since we're on the topic of watches, I'm a big watch guy. Obviously, I collect watches. I build my own watches and stuff.
You build your own watches?
Yeah. So I build watches I have a watch. I'm in the middle of building a watch company, but currently I build custom watches for people.
What is that? What is that? So you take a watch and then change it, or literally from the ground up? What do you have like a machine?
No, so like
tool? How
basically
are you creating this stuff?
Basically similar to what you said first. Like people will customize watches. So there are companies that have aftermarket parts. So if you want to customize your bezel, then you could buy a different color bezel and put the bezel on your watch. But what I found out was they basically do that for every single piece on the watch. Mm-hmm. So I can buy every single piece that I want and build a watch from the ground up with just the pieces that I want. I don't have to base it off of their watch. So, there's companies that sell all the different watch cases and all these different shapes and all these different hands and colors and bezels and all this stuff. And I could build you a watch that looks exactly like an Explorer, even though you hate it. But I build my watch is just totally custom. So I walk through the design process with people. And one of the ones that I just built was a blue DLC stainless steel case, and it was a meteorite dial. And then it had a blue, ceramic Yachtmaster insert. So it was blue on blue, but the bezel, where yours is gold on your bezel, it was stainless steel. So it was steel on blue with a blue bezel insert, meteorite dial, and then what they call a Milanese loop. So that metal mesh. And everything was basically I worked with a guy. I was like, hey, would you consider this blue case? I'm really trying to figure out a cool way to use it. And he's like, hell yeah, let's do it. And then basically kind of talk through the process of where do you lean? How are you going to be wearing it? What kind of colors you like, and so on and so forth. And I just build custom one-off watches for people from the ground up.
That's amazing.
It's RDB of watches.
That's literally what it sounds like.
It's super fun, but the idea originally came from a few journalists that I know that were doing some custom Seikos. They were sending their Seikos to some guy, Matt Farah has this guy that he was sending his watches to, and the guy would change the bezel or change the hands or something like that. And I'm like, I could do that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to make Legos anymore. I'm an adult. I want to put something else together, and I'm a big watch guy. So I was like, I could do that.
Tinker with watches.
I bought a whole bunch of the watch parts and tools, and I just started making a whole bunch for myself. And then I was like, okay, now I know how to make them. And then I presented the idea to another one of my journalist friends after I had built all these other watches just to make sure that I can do it. You might want to cut some of this down, but yeah, basically I had spoken to somebody, Johnny Lieberman, and he at the time was posting a lot of Sin watches, and those have a very signature square top hand. And I found this website that has those hands, or replicas of those hands. And I'm like, hey, I can build you a watch with those hands. I can build you a totally custom watch with those Sin hands on something else. And he was like, that'd be dope. And so I built him that watch, and then he posted on his stuff. Other people started hitting me up to make them custom watches, and it kind of got the ball rolling. And now I'm kind of in the process of developing a fully custom, a full watch brand where it's not just custom one-offs based on other parts, where every part is going to be proprietary and my logo and all that kind of stuff.
It's going to be amazing. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Do you have a little configurator website? People can build it?
No, actually it takes fucking forever, because I'm literally sending all right, here are 10 case options that we could do. You got to give me some inspiration. You got to give me some direction, and then I'll help you along in the process. But yeah, I wish it was more plug and play, but
You have a name yet?
That's an idea.
Are you allowed
I
to
do,
say
but
it?
I don't know if I should say it.
It's up to you.
So I grew up, whatever. So it's Wren, W-R-E-N, like the bird. And it's the street I grew up on when I was a kid.
Origins.
So
Yeah, fuck, that's awesome.
it's, I grew up on Wren Drive. And so the company is going to be called Wren, W-R-E-N, and like the logo is a little bird.
I can't wait to be rocking some fucking Ren watches, dude. I can't wait.
I'm stoked.
I'm throwing these Swiss pieces of shit to the side, baby.
Bro, I literally have like 30 watches, not including the ones that I've made for myself. And I'm just like, I don't want to wear any of them. I just want to like wear my own watch.
Yeah,
I want
of
to make
course.
my own shit.
I wear these shirts.
Yeah,
everywhere
but
now.
say, are you kidding me? The
Bro,
fuck?
I mean, you gotta
Yeah, you gotta rep the
merch
brand,
up.
baby.
Like,
Yeah, you
you
gotta
gotta
rock the
represent
fucking
your
brand.
brand and whatnot.
Just
So
fires me
much
up.
so.
People are like, what do you do? I'm like, this right here, man. Supercar Connection. Check us out.
Yeah.
Very much so.
So a Supercar Connection, I mean, forgive me for not doing my research, but is Supercar Connection go outside of like the podcast, or is that the name of the podcast?
So pretty much what it is if you want to take it from like a conceptual standpoint, what we wanted to do, and through the podcast and other form of content, we wanted to pretty much bring a lens into I guess we can say the Southern California like supercar world in itself, because we're very much tailored into it in our day-to-day lives. Like a lot of our buddies are supercar owners, a lot of our buddies are influencers and all this stuff like that. So we wanted to create a specialized lens through the podcast and other form of content, and that's kind of where we came up with the name Supercar Connection. And plus too, when we were first starting out, I had a 458. I still have the 458. It's for sale if anybody wants it. And then his 4C, that's kind of like, those are two Italian cars that literally like, you have one that's supercar, one that's probably one of the arguably most bang for buck cars that
Best sports
exist.
cars, yeah.
Literally, like it's ridiculous. So that in itself is what I call a Supercar Connection. Those two cars, the two of us, and then being able to bring the whole scene to light is kind of what we built the brand and what we're building the brand off of.
Nice.
And the podcast is just another lens and another tool that we use to bring it connect to it, because we have the likes of, like, for example, we have one of my good buddies, his name is Qasim. He owns Navarro Motorsports down there in OC. He's a certain type of personality, a certain type of person, he does certain type of thing, and then we get to sit down with someone like you that's in a completely different world, and we just get to connect the entire scene from literally all the way up here in the valley to all the way deep OC. That's kind of the whole thing.
Soon to be Miami.
We'll be in Miami at the end of the month.
Nice.
So it'll be literally Supercar Connection from SoCal to the entire country.
Podcast is just product one.
Take the show on the road.
Yeah.
Literally, bro.
But
Literally.
there's other, like, we started to make reviews. Like we had that review, we're like banking reviews basically, short content, stuff like that. So
we got a couple businesses coming on the way too. So
the
that's gonna be
podcast
very
is just
exciting.
like product number one. This is kind of the bread and butter. We just like sitting down and talking to people about cars. This is why we started in the first place. We just like talking about cars.
Literally.
Simple as that.
I mean, I really like that.
Yeah.
Because, like, I think that, like you said, I mean, obviously it goes beyond supercars, the car culture out here. Everybody is into all kinds of different cars, and including supercars. You know, they have mixed collections and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, there's so many different types of supercar owners and car owners that getting different perspectives is cool. And like, there's so much of the, like, a lot of people talk about how amazing it is, but they don't really know like what the details of why it's so amazing, what makes it so special out here. You could talk about all the cool cars, but like there's so much more to it. Experiencing it out here, everybody being so like about their cars, being so willing to share, doing so many different types of like drives and events. It's like, it's a connection within itself. Like, it's a networking community. Like,
Sure.
it's one of the biggest networking communities, especially since we're also so small.
Yes, very
you know,
much
like
so.
it's funny because I like to remind people of this. So like, car enthusiasts make up maybe like 1% of car buyers. So when we got all these guys crying on Instagram comments about how EVs are going to ruin the world, it's like, you realize like you're just a drop in the bucket from like all these other people that are buying cars. Like, nobody else has that type of opinion. You're not going to move the needle with your arguments on Instagram. But like, yeah, I think like that's also kind of like, I appreciate that because that's also similar to what I do with my page in a totally different way, where like I'm trying to give people that experience of what it's like to be in LA, to be surrounded by this type of culture, to just drive down the road and see a F40 or a multi-million-dollar car, super rare stuff, just drive around you, or even just drive around and be like, here's a Lambo, here's a Lambo, here's a Ferrari, here's a Rolls Royce. And people are like, holy crap, that was one street in 30 seconds. And I'm like, yeah, that's how it is. Like,
because they live in Kansas.
Because they live in Kansas, and they're like, I can't believe it. So they like live vicariously through me and my page, and it gives them this like experience or more immersive experience into like the LA car world, like what type of stuff you can look forward to if you come out here.
Totally.
So exactly what we wanted to do. Like that last part that you said was that like we're blessed to, like, not even just like owning a supercar or just living where we live. 99% of people will never touch a certain level of ownership of a vehicle. So like being able to bring into the light, not only like the opportunity of being able to own some cars like this, like he's going to cop a supercar pretty soon here too. And I'm excited for him to do that. It's going to change the game on a whole other scale. And then on top of that, people that don't ever get to touch that light, we just want to connect them to the world and make it see. That's why we talk about driving these cars, because to be honest with you, our beginning discussions were literally about driving the cars. It wasn't about owning them. It wasn't about what it's like to spec them. It was literally about,
because there's so much more.
That's all that it is.
Driving the car.
And there's people out there that will literally are car enthusiasts to a T, but will never ever get to experience that. So all we want to do is just connect our experience and the blessed opportunity we have to get behind the wheel of some of these piss missiles to the people that will. I mean, I wish everybody can drive this and get to feel it. If I can ever do something in my life to be able to continue that and put somebody behind the wheel, like remember when I got the 458, literally his like first supercar he ever drove was the 458, and like not only being able to create that for like my best friend was a fucking dream for me, but being able to try to pass the lens on to our audience, that's all that it's about.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think that it's definitely like cars are a passion thing, you know, like there's something that people feel very strongly about. So being able to kind of like experiencing that all the time, there's just so much passion and all these people that are around you. And I think that like you said, like there are people that really like driving cars, and there are people that are never going to drive like these crazy cars. But out in California, you get to see beyond just people that like cars, you know, like I was saying, it's like this networking thing where you start to see like, I mean, I opened a lot of people's eyes to the type of wealth that you can actually make. And it, like, of course, we always talk about these cars, and you want to focus on performance. You don't want to always talk about the like materialistic aspect of like the cars cost a lot of money, and that means that you're this type of person and X, Y, and Z. But like, you know, it is 100% undeniable that if you're driving a particular type of car, then you can pull up to a particular type of group of people and share a similar mindset, or like it's the same kind of thing with watches, where it's like, it's not even as much about what the watch is or showing off that you have a car, but showing that you have the ability to make that kind of money, and you have that mindset that was able to afford you that type of vehicle. So people, without even knowing you, before you walk out of the car, they know to a degree that this person either works hard, knows what they're doing, like, and that kind of stuff. So it really puts you in the position to have better, more lucrative relationships with people, more like respected business relationships with people, because they're like, this guy can afford a Ferrari, which means he's obviously doing something right, which means I'm down to do business with him. Yeah. A lot of these people are like, why the hell would anybody pay $300,000 for a Richard Mille? You know, they're like, that watch is a giant like G-Shock, you know, but at the same time, it's not about the watch. It's about walking into a room where people see you with that watch and say, fuck, that guy knows what he's doing. Maybe I want to go into business with him. And that $300,000 watch might have put you into a business deal that just made you $10 million, and that watch just paid for itself. So you talk all the shit you want about a $300,000 watch, but if that watch just made you $10 million because it was able to put you at the right table or in front of the right person.
You know how many people on the internet have tried to tell us that is not a real concept? Because we've talked about this so many times, and people are like, real rich people, they don't care what you have, like blah blah blah.
I mean,
like,
to a degree. to a degree, everybody, like everybody has a different personality. Everybody made their money different ways and stuff. So like there's a 100% a stigma for certain type of people that are like just have the money or just got the money. Nobody really cares about how they got the money. They're just like, you have the money and you bought a car and that doesn't mean shit to me. You know, it's like a lot of people, there's a lot of hard work behind that car.
Yeah,
So,
a
like,
lot of fucking hard work.
There's a lot of success stories behind those cars. And on top of that, like I brought a friend out from Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri, normal city, nothing like, you know, like, you know, whatever, normal city. And I brought him out to one of these car shows and I'm like, yo, this car is like $2 million. This is a Bugatti, is like $3 million, this and that. And he's like, dude, I've never even seen this kind of money. And you're telling me that like this one car is $1 million? He's like, the whole row of houses on my block don't cost $1 million together. He's like, I didn't even know this kind of money, a level of money or wealth exists. And it starts to raise the bar for people. And they're like, now I see that I shouldn't just be making $100,000 a year, because although that might be comfortable and that might get me, it's like, I can achieve so much more. And it's like, whatever your definition of success is, so, you know, everybody has a different definition of success. But like when you see this type of stuff, you see the level that people can achieve. And it just opens up your eyes.
Yeah. If someone's making 50 million a year, I can make one.
Yeah.
Right?
Literally.
So
Literally.
why not?
But if
go after
you
it?
live in Missouri and the houses cost $300,000 and you make $100,000 a year, then you'll never sneeze at that, because it's like you can live a great life and even have money left over to get a, you know, a nice sports car or something. But like when you come out here and you see that these, like the level of wealth, it really is eye-opening. And not saying that there's anything wrong with any other type of lifestyle, but like if you want that motivation, you want that inspiration, you see that kind of stuff here, it really opens your eyes.
That's what, honestly, that's what did it for me. Like when I like I was saying earlier, I hadn't driven a supercar, hadn't really ridden in one, and until starting this, I had my 4C. I was thrilled. I thought that car was the most fun thing in the world, and it was at the time. Like, it was amazing. I loved it. Then I started driving, you know, I drove the 458, started driving Lambos, started driving McLarens, and all of a sudden now I'm
you
like,
get back in your car and you're like, shit, I don't even have power steering.
Man, this car is so slow. It's so slow. It used to feel so fast, and now it feels so slow. And I'm like, you know, and it's just the level at which I've like kicked into gear the last couple months, just chasing, like, I'm like, okay, like I can't, this isn't, I want more than this now, right?
Now you're chasing speed.
Right.
Yeah.
In a good way, I think, but
always in a good way.
Yeah, it's just like it's created a new level of motivation where I'm like, I've got to make this happen. And it's like, if you're not around it, if you don't really ever experience it, like it's just a concept. It's like, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Until you're behind the wheel and you're like, I have to have this. Like, this needs to be a daily option for me.
Especially like, because you get to experience other cars, and because we're in this world where like you can literally experience these cars all the time, it's like we're so jaded. I mean,
like calling the Roma a bad car.
Yeah, exactly. Calling any Ferrari a bad car is like just insane to us. And like I drive around and I don't film Uruses or Cullinans or basically any Rolls Royce unless it's like the new Spectre, or like basically any Bentley unless it has a body kit on it, or any Huracan unless it's an STO or something. So it's gotta be like top notch, because we're just so jaded. And the same thing goes for driving. It's like once you drive a supercar, everything feels slow to it.
Everything's dog
So
shit.
it's
Everything
just like
feels
you
slow.
think you're like crushing it in your 4C, and it's an amazing driving car and it's hard to beat until you drive like one of these other level cars and you're just like, shit, there really is a difference.
There is. There's so much.
All these people that are like, yeah, I'm a fucking Miata, it's so modded out and whatever, and it's like, and then you drive a real sports car and you're like, okay, that's fine.
cute.
Right. And it's like,
That's
like you can do some crazy things in the canyons. I'll give it to you. But when you hit that straightaway and you mash it, like the feeling of just getting thrown back in your seat, like that true straight line speed.
Yeah.
it's an addicting feeling.
And when you get to that level, then you start fine tuning. And then that's when you start figuring out, like, I know a guy that has a GT4 RS, and that's his Canyon car. And he was like, but I need that label. He's like, I need that upper level. He's like, I'm ready for it. So he just got a 458.
Hell yeah.
And
he just got
he's
it?
so stoked about it. Yeah, he just got it.
I should have bought mine.
He's so insane. It's actually one of two in a particular color. Okay. There's only... they're both out here in LA. I know both owners. It's this like incredible, almost like aubergine purple type of color.
I think I know the color you're talking
Tony has one with gold wheels, and it's like it's the same purple color, and the other guy has gold like BBSs on it. But
I've seen the
there's
gold
basically
BBSs
only
one. I think I know the shop. My buddy Ron owns the shop that did the BBSs on that specific one.
So I mean, yeah, he basically was like, this is... I know enough that the GT4 is my Canyon car because the 458 is not going to be the Canyon car. I can, if I only had a 458, that would be my Canyon car and I'd be ripping the Canyon and be fine. But he's like, but I know that the difference is that this is built for this, and the Ferrari is built for like this and whatever. So he was like, when I'm cruising, when I'm going out to dinner, I'm taking the girl out, whatever, when we're going on PCH and whatever, like that's Ferrari time. And he's like, when we're like ripping and going on the canyons and that kind of stuff, he's like, and I need the maneuverability. It's like, that's when I take the other car.
He should take the 458 at some point. 458 up there.
I mean, I'm sure he's played around.
He loves the 458.
I love the 458.
He loves the 458 up there.
I mean, they're
sound,
great. They're insane cars.
The sound. Yeah. That shit is second.
No, I get what you're saying about the tuning though, for sure.
Yeah, like once you start to get into those higher levels, then you really start to understand, like, you know, there is a lot to the engineering of these cars and the modern cars and the differences between the companies. It's I mean, yeah, it's wild.
Or even like, so what I'm looking at is either an R8, a V10 R8, or maybe possibly a 650S.
Like a Gen 1 V10? Or like the new?
So a 14 or 15 with the dual clutch. So Gen 1, but dual clutch transmission.
Sure.
It's like a weird in-between.
Yeah. Like LCI kind of thing.
Yeah. So either one of those or like a 650S or a 12C. Those are kind of like what I'm looking at. And it's like with one, you get the naturally aspirated, like very direct power band with great noises, obviously. And then with the other, you get that kind of like turbo lag, but way faster.
Doesn't the 650 basically like, what is it, the M850 block, like the McLaren engine? Isn't it the same engine in the P1, just like not all the extra stuff on it? Like it's the same basic engine.
It's the same thing with these fucking things. Like literally, like these things are the same motors.
This is the M850 engine, and it's the same that's in the Senna.
This is the 4 liter. Yeah.
This is the 4.0. Yeah. So like literally, it's just
the 650 was the 3.8 liter.
3.8.
Yeah. So that's
and then there's a couple guys that had it bored out to 4, and McLaren had bored a few out to 4 as like kind of to pilot the engine for the Senna and whatnot.
Yeah. Like the 650 is a 650 horsepower monster.
Metric horsepower.
It's
a difference.
What?
It's not the same number.
Oh yeah, the UK metric horsepower. What is like 640 US or something like that?
Whatever it is. Yeah. I never knew that, and then someone was like, "It's metric horsepower." I'm like, "What the? They're even doing this shit to horsepower too?"
Yeah. But then they always say that McLaren's. They always say McLaren sandbags their numbers. So I'm like, I feel safe saying 650.
Yeah, right. Fuck everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. If it's 650 metric, so 640 here, but then they sandbag their numbers. Listen, it all balances out.
I still can't convert kilometers to miles per hour. So I don't give a shit.
I'm not doing that shit. But I'm pretty sure this is technically 710.
I know 60 is 100. That's.
I don't even.
Or 62. 62 is 100.
Because you know the 0 to 60 time. So when there's 0 to 100 is they're closest to 0 to 60.
Literally.
But like you look at those two cars, like a 650S or a 12C, or an R8. Like very different experiences.
Super different.
One's going to be more comfortable, and like the power is going to come on really linear, like very linear. And you've got all-wheel drive. The other, you've got rear-wheel drive. The slight turbo lag, but the crazy kick and like the straight line on the highway on that is, once again, it would blow the R8 out of the water if you like did a pull on the highway.
And it sounds like a more like adventurous car to drive, even though the R8 is like I don't know. I mean, the R8 is a GT. It's a really sporty GT. because I mean it's the more comfortable version of the Huracan.
Very much so.
There's like that much more leg room. There's that much more kind of luxe aspect to it of like just comfort.
Yeah.
But I mean, incredible car.
Yeah.
For sure.
Doors go up on the 650 though.
Yeah. So
Gen 1 has a screen in the middle.
Right. I know. The Gen 1, that's honestly, and
It's a huge plus. Or,
there's still, there's still the like, if you could afford the Gen 2, you should just do it because it's newer and whatever. But I think the Gen 1 looks
VF supercharged.
I think the Gen 1 is like a better design.
I like
it's a more timeless design.
I like that side, whatever they call that, like the blade or whatever.
Yeah.
I like that the blade is continuous on that one, and it has like, that's this nostalgia to it, even though it's like too new to be old and too old to be new. But it has this like Iron Man memories of just like, this was so badass and futuristic when it came out. I remember my friend's dad got one and we were just like, holy shit, this car is so crazy looking as a spaceship. Like it was so epic when it came out.
True.
Absolute game changer.
Yeah, you think about like it's a 20, like I'm looking at a 2014 car that's technically a 2008 design, 2007 design.
Yeah. But it's real so good, timeless. Yeah. Audi has a really great track record for creating timeless designs.
Yeah,
like the Audi TT, like Freeman Thomas killed that, absolutely killed that, and to this day it still looks like a modern car.
I just think history is going to be nicer to the Gen 1 than it is the Gen 2.
That's fair to say.
The Gen 2 is a lot more plasticky.
Yeah,
the Gen 1 is very clean, very smooth. Yeah, that's my take. Not that I'll have it long enough for history to tell.
That was a solid hot take on the art.
That was a solid hot fucking
for sure.
Hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I do what I can. I think I'm a smart guy.
Shut the fuck up.
Do you have any other like crazy car spotting stories before? Because like we've been going a while, so I want to make sure we don't miss any.
We have an ending segment too, so that's why before we get to
there's a couple questions we got to ask at the end.
Yeah.
That
you should have told me that ahead of time because I'm just blab and blab.
That's what it's
about.
This is all just we just sit down and talk, and then we ask a couple questions at the end that everyone gets to answer.
Yeah,
so
we don't like the whole interview like that type of style. That's not
for
what
sure.
the fuck. Yeah, so like this exactly we've been doing exactly what we want to be doing. That's why.
No doubt.
But also, if there's any crazy stories, that you feel like get out.
It depends. I've seen crazy cars all the time. I see really awesome cars. It's hard to say because this one, I would say it's not like the craziest, but it got a lot of attention online. That like literally the day that Chief Keef had his Urus done as the mystery machine, I was like the first person to catch it on camera. He was parked on Rodeo Drive. And I got like 10 million views, like 1 million likes on that video. It blew up on like World Star and like all these other stuff. So that was like cool that it happened because it was like, it was just a cool, funny car that like got a lot of popularity and like landed all over the place. But like, I've seen some shit because like if you go to Monterey Car Week, like it's literally like every single person leaves that lives there, and then everybody with a cool car goes and gets there and rents their houses out. So every car that's driving around is just awesome. So I'm sitting in the back. I'm sitting in the back of the G-Wagon Maybach lawn delay and just kind of like hanging out of the green and tan one, just kind of chilling. And I was talking to homie, and then we hear like coming down the road, and we're like, what the and then we hop out of the truck, and it's like the yellow F1 GTR or LM or something, the yellow one, or with the blue like flag, like. And I just like ran out and was just like driving past the house, and we were like, holy shit. But like, that's Car Week, It's like, you have to expect ridiculous shit like that to happen.
Even Beverly Hills, like the week before Car Week.
Oh, that's like one of the best weeks to go out. Like that's like pre-Car Week in Beverly Hills is huge.
I didn't even know it was a thing.
No. Like for spotters, for sure.
When they're coming over from Kuwait, the first thing they do is ship it to Beverly Hills, stay in Beverly Hills for a few days, and then take the cars up to Car Week.
I didn't fucking know that.
Yeah, so absolutely.
I can't wait.
You'll see all the Kuwait license plates come out on before Car Week.
All over the world and all over the country. People kind of start off. A lot of people start off in LA, a lot of people, if they have multiple cars, they might ship some up there, and they might like have a car in LA because they also want to take part in some of the rallies that drive up to Monterey and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, pre-car week is just freaking crazy. Like, I mean, yeah, this year was really cool because the guys from Top Gear New Jersey had brought out the Gambala GT and like the matte navy blue 918, and they were just mashing around Beverly Hills all the time. And like, you never see a Mirage GT. That's like one of those unicorn kind of cars. And that's the kind of shit that you're just like driving around. There's Centenarios, there's every type of Bugatti driving around. So like, it's really hard to even say.
Right.
But I mean, like, I've caught like 250 TDF driving around. I've caught like a whole bunch of Zagato Ferraris driving around, and like just a lot of really rare, cool stuff just kind of pops up.
I remember there was a day that I saw 2 Carrera GTs in Malibu within like an hour of each other, and I was like, dang. 2 Carrera GTs out on the road today.
Yeah, like, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that you run into in Malibu, especially. That's kind of why I just go to Malibu on Sundays and I kind of troll up and down PCH just to like see, okay, like some crazy car just flew the other way. Let me whip a U-turn and just go find that guy. And then another car driving the other way, and I go flip a U-turn and I go find that guy. And yeah, they're just all over the place.
I saw the green Rimac Navara in Malibu one time.
Did you see it get hit? Wasn't that the one that got
I didn't see it get hit
or something?
Maybe
on PCH.
I saw it on PCH, but I don't know. Someone call Joe.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, for sure. Do you do Rimac?
I do everything.
Yeah. So I remember seeing a Wyra on the highway, and that was like, you see them at shows, but then you see one on just the highway. You're like, whoa, who's just driving their Wyra on the highway today? Someone was like, you know what? I feel like taking the Wyra.
Yeah, I mean, like
I want that life.
That's the kind of stuff is like a lot of times you do see these cars on repeat. And like, if you're in OC, there's a few guys, they're always the same guys bringing out their Koenigsegg's and their Paganis and whatever, and you see them at all the shows. But then, it's still really special when you see them outside of the show and they're just driving around, and you see a guy in like a Zonda Cinque, and it's still really impressive even if you see it all the time.
Yeah.
But then it's a mixed bag, because then also you see like the same Koenigsegg's like at every single show, and you're just like, all right, awesome Koenigsegg.
Right.
Which I saw like 50 times so far this year.
Yeah.
And it's like, still, it's a Koenigsegg. Like, how can you? But we're just so jaded.
Or like, I sent you the picture of the Singer DLS that I saw on the road, and that was like the craziest spot I think I've ever had.
Yeah.
Just rolling down the highway.
I've only seen one of those in the wild.
The Singer? Or
the DLS.
Yeah. What color was it?
Oh my God. It was during car week, and I feel like it wasn't gold. I can't remember what color it was. Maybe it was like white or something. But yeah, I mean, actually maybe it was gold. The one you saw was gold, right?
It was black with gold accents.
Okay. Yeah, I think I saw a gold one. But again, it was like Monterey Car Week.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like meant to be up there.
Right. That makes sense.
Like I was driving around at, like the Glickenhaus SG003, like their crazy sports car. And then right behind it was like their Warthog looking thing, It was like, that's the kind of shit you just see driving. And behind them is like a few Hennessy Venoms and like all that stuff. You're like,
are my favorite
crazy.
in the world.
That's a really crazy car that
Michael
like,
Jordan's
I don't
Venom
think enough people are talking about.
The Venom GTs, those are my favorite cars.
The Venom or the F5?
Isn't it
The Venom GTs. The Hennessy Venom GT. That car.
The first one?
The first one.
The Lotus?
Oh, I was thinking the new one.
The Lotus that they cut and extended. Yeah,
I was thinking the new one. I forgot
the F5.
F5. I was thinking because they did the mule that was at the built off the other one. But yeah, you're right. The F5. That thing is crazy.
Those cars are fucking crazy. That was honestly, I think, one of the first cars that like I saw that I was like, fuck my life. Like
the Venom or the
Hennessy Venom GT.
Yeah.
The Venom is pretty sick.
Fucking nasty.
It's a long Lotus, but it's pretty sick.
That might be like if I can only have one fucking car. I kind of low-key forgot about this entire time I've been doing all this bullshit. I forgot about that fucking car.
Steven Tyler had one.
Hennessy is pumping out 1,000 horsepower cars left and right for the past few decades.
Those fucking Texans are going crazy down there and just quietly.
Just sticking on more and more wheels onto the back of pickup trucks. It's just like you got 8x8s now with like 1,500 1,500 horsepower.
What are we doing?
There's 12x12 TRXs just crawling around Hennessy headquarters down there, bro.
Like, might as well just put those things on tank tracks.
Yeah, we might as well just get to that point already. Fuck
The
it.
Hennessy Megalodon.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Guess questions?
let's rip it.
All right, you ready for the guess questions?
Oh, is this like the speed round?
No, not really.
Half-ass speed round.
Yeah. No, this
Speed
is
round?
these are just the questions we ask everyone at the end.
Everybody gets the same questions. 3 questions.
Yeah,
Captain doesn't
after this
judge.
long chat.
I fucking judge.
Oh
so.
my God. Just don't give me the what's your ideal 3-car garage question.
Oh man.
It'll take
You
forever.
ruined it.
Perfect.
Anyway,
We'll
that's
be here fucking
you got
forever.
you got
That's-
you got a minute
That's
to
the
think about
one
it.
where it's like today it's these, tomorrow it's these.
Well, that's
next
how we
day
are.
it's
It
these.
changes every
changes
time.
every fucking day.
Hey, today is I don't know what day it is, but today is the day. I don't have my watch set on the date, but well, the first question, not that. What's the most underrated car on the market today?
Like new car
No, car.
New, used?
on the market.
Yeah.
Just anything.
Most underrated, underappreciated car on the market today.
In whatever way you interpret that question.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing is that I feel like the market has gone so crazy that pricing for a lot of these cars has changed the way that people buy cars. So like most people have been priced out of certain types of Porsches. So they're now open to buying things like 944s, like the transaxles and stuff like that. So there's a lot of cars that people are kind of overlooking or that are kind of gaining popularity now just because they're like more rare or because they're more random, you know, where if they were looking for something cool, they're probably already priced out of it. You know, like a Miata used to be $2,000 and now if you find one for like less than $9,000, you're lucky. So,
Yeah.
I mean, like
An S2000.
Yeah, literally.
like
that's the definition.
S2000s
30
are,
grand
are
for a decent
pretty
example.
rated. I mean, they're pretty well rated.
Yeah.
If you want to be serious, like I think overrated car would be like the E9X series, but underrated. Jeez, that's such a hard question. I really can't answer it. It's so hard.
There's nothing that's underrated.
I mean, like I think everything is very correctly rated.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah, respect
I can't think of something that like
It's just
that
underappreciated.
people
Like
just like
people
totally shit on.
people are missing
that
the
people
mark here.
totally dislike that doesn't deserve the hate.
Maybe it's not even that it's like, you know, not getting, or it's not getting hate or getting hate, however, whichever way it is. It's just like maybe no one's thinking about it. It's like it's undervalued. It's a great value maybe because people don't really understand it or whatever.
Like think of his
Like I think the 4C is an
Like, that's
underrated
a
car.
perfect
Like
car.
people
Like-
don't really understand the car. Like
I
the
think
fact that
that's-
you can get
okay.
that car for, you know, $45,000 is kind of crazy. It's an insane car.
All right. So, I mean, I may just be, this may be like an easy answer and it may not be, I probably need more time to think about this, but I'm going to say the Giulia Quattrofolio
I think that's
mean,
a great answer.
because it's been overlooked so much to the point that they're not even going to be selling it in the States anymore. And obviously it has just as many problems as any British car, you know, like, I mean, that's kind of like why people aren't super thrilled with Alpha in the States is reliability and whatnot. But, you know, if you get a good one, you get a good one. But that car is, despite the fact that technologically it does feel a little dated inside compared to other cars on the market, especially cars that cost brand new $95,000. Like that car is not cheap at all.
But you can
It
get
is-
them. You can get them for like 80 brand new. A lot of them are marked down.
Well, yeah, they're marked down, but also like if you get one that's just a couple years used, you can really get a lot of car for that money. And that
100%.
car is so insanely fast. Like it really feels like you're driving a Ferrari with 4 doors. It really does. It feels like a supercar. Like it is the same V8 from Ferrari, the F158 or whatever it is. It's like that with 2 cylinders chopped off. It's got a carbon fiber drive shaft, and it literally is just an absolute like supercar of a sedan.
Yeah.
And I think that it just goes underappreciated.
There it is. There's the
Yeah.
answer to the question right
Right. Because think about, you can get one of those and compare, like how much more does it cost to get an M5
Well,
compared to those? 20,
well,
30 grand probably?
not even like, I mean, an M5 you can get for $100,000 or I think an M5 maybe is like 110 or something. maybe like, but at the same, like what you're looking at is like the new M4, like all-wheel drive one that they just came out with. That one's $95K. So like, you're looking at some pretty stiff competition.
Yeah.
Like you could get a Carrera for $110.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be nearly as fast or as agile, or, it's the same thing, but it's a Porsche.
It's a boring car. Especially for the price.
Well, that's also another thing is like, I probably wouldn't want just like a base Carrera, like I mean, like I'll take it,
Yeah.
But like, I like the idea that the Giulia is just an absolute monster.
I agree. I respect that answer.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the most overrated car on the market today?
Oh shit. Shit,
Didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, like hit me with something easy, man. Like try to get me with something that I don't have to pick from a list of like 1,000 cars. Most overrated car.
You're gonna love the last.
I mean,
last
dude,
one.
I'm not gonna.
Fucking
I mean,
knock your
the
socks
thing
off.
is, I'm just gonna go back to the M4 and the M3. They're so fucking ugly. they're so fucking ugly, and like people are growing on them, and people are like, oh, get over it, and it's like, no, I don't have to get over it. Like a car is gonna be ugly forever. The Pontiac Aztec is gonna be fucking ugly forever. There's nothing you can do about it, and like you can look past that and be like, but it drives so great. But so do so many other cars that don't look like a frickin' beaver tail. Like, it's just the stupidest, ugliest looking frickin' car ever. I hate it so much. I hate the side profile. It's so bland. It just does not work. The
beaver tail.
I actually
front
happen
grill,
to
man.
not mind the M2. Like this new design M2. I kind of had this like, I don't hate it.
The right
but
accents, right color on that
I
car.
just despise the M3.
I love it.
Well, thanks for that. I hope you're okay with like getting a few 100,000 views on that clip.
Yeah, I wanted to say that was going to do.
People are gonna love that.
I hope it blows up, and I hope people attack me in my own comments on my page so I get all the engagement.
Let's run it up, baby. We're gonna collab. Baby.
I mean, I'm gonna say that's got to be a really concontroversial opinion, because I think at this point, most people have kind of moved past that, and not to mention how many fanboys there are in that field.
Dude, the BMW Porsche cultists, they're one giant group.
Bro, come out to any show in California and it's like 75% M4s and then there's like a whole bunch of Huracans.
Then GT3s, 25% GT3s. That's fucking all it is.
It's hilarious.
Every M4 has the carbon fiber grille inserts too.
Yes.
And
to
vanity
try to
plates.
fix the problem.
They all think have the most clever vanity
So
plates.
lastly, your favorite question in the world: 3 cars, no budget.
Yep. Dream garage, baby.
I hate to tell you, but you totally called it.
You did.
That is the question.
That is the last question.
All right, so
Whatever it is today, just
you
rip
feel.
it how you're feeling.
yeah, so F40
Okay.
is a guarantee.
What color?
Mustard to ketchup.
All right,
Black?
so like
Black F40.
So I
looks
think
good.
the F40 is the only Ferrari that I would be okay with getting. I'm not the only Ferrari, but it's the one that like I'm cool with red.
Yeah.
I'm definitely like, I mean, I get the whole Ferrari red thing. I'm definitely one of those guys that prefers to see something different. Like I understand the prestige and the point of the red, and when you think about Ferrari, you think red.
Mm-hmm.
But I would be cool with getting some of these cars. They look so good. I mean, I think green is kind of overdone, but the green one was really sick looking.
Yeah.
The blue one that guy did in blue, it's like blue Scuro or something. It like looks so good when it's in another color.
Right.
But, yeah. I would have an F40.
Good pick.
I want to say I would have something modern in there, but I really want something like crazy and classic. I mean, like CLK GTR kind of thing, or like the original SLR, like the one that Sterling Moss drove with no windshield, like that kind of thing, like the original one.
Yeah.
And then I kind of like old stuff, so I would get like I need a family car, right? So I get like an LM002 Something like
I
that.
love that. The
Like,
Lambo
I mean, like,
tank.
Yeah, I'm kind of over the whole Defender thing. Everybody's like, going crazy with the Defender stuff. And I
Old Range
used to
Rover
love
styles,
it.
yeah,
I
vintage
grew
shit.
up, my dad had an FJ40 and like I love the shit out of those. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I kind of have a soft spot for that.
I respect it though.
Okay,
That's
so we got a
3-car garage.
Well, I mean, there's also nothing modern in there. There's tons of modern cars that I would love,
But that's you, baby. That's you.
but that's the stuff.
Yeah.
I would love if it wasn't if it wasn't just 3. Obviously, I would throw in, like I said, like a Fire Bel Air or like a Caddy from the 50s or
Yeah.
something. I'd love to have like a fastback, like a Mach 1 or something like that. Like I would love something like that.
Okay, how about this?
But
Last
we're talking
thing.
like no, money is not an issue. then-
Money's not an issue.
Yeah.
Outside of the standard the guest questions that we have, I want to throw one more at you. What's your favorite modern supercar on the market today?
These are so hard. There's so many good options. Well, the thing is actually like my favorite modern supercar is a hypercar,
Which one?
the Persport.
Oh,
Wow.
give me some on that. That's always my number one pick. The Persport.
So, and it's partly because like I've had some really good experiences in a Persport.
Mm-hmm.
So like I had some time to drive around with a couple buddies, and like I mentioned, one of them had at the time the P1 GT 18 or whatever it is, and his friend was driving next to him in the red Persport, and 812 comp was in there, and another 812 and stuff, and Wisby had brought his Murcielago, and we were just ripping it around. But like the sound of a Bugatti and the luxury of it and the stability of it, and like while you're inside you think it's just going to be like nice and pretty, but it's just like a beast, and you hear it and it makes all the good noises that you want, and it's just like seems like the Porsche type of mentality, but multi-million-dollar version. It's like the best crazy daily you can buy.
Yeah, just like the ultimate
if you can
car
afford
experience.
it, I
Yeah.
highly recommend it.
It's always been my answer. I'm like, if money's not an issue, the Pure Sport is just like, I would drive it as like a daily.
It slaps.
Like,
They
that
look
would
so
be-
good.
they
They're
look
so
so good.
powerful. They're such a they're
knew
like
there was a connection
low
there.
key. They're like low key, but also not at the same time. Like they're not like stand out like crazy. Oh my God, look at this crazy looking thing like an Apollo IE or something. But it's like you can't deny the presence of a Bugatti when it pulls up.
Yeah, for sure.
How's that for an answer?
That's a great answer.
great answer.
I loved it.
All right,
So,
cool.
well, thank you so much for coming on. Plug your IG for everyone listening.
I'm LA Car Spotter, and there's an underscore at the end. So LA Car Spotter _.
At LA Car Spotter _. Give him a follow. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me,
I
guys.
had a
It
lot
was
of
ton
fun.
It's
Yeah.
been fantastic, Cody.
Yeah, it was great.
Can't wait to see the watch comes out.
Yeah, for sure.
Sounds a wrap.
We're out.